Raise a cup up for all my day ones. Two middle fingers for the haters. Life's only getting greater. Straight up from nothing we go. Higher than the highest skyscraper. No little league we major. The proof is in the pain. We put the good in the good in the good life. We put the good in the good in the good life. We put the bad in the past. Now we alright.
It's just, it's really been an awesome experience, and I've been really humbled and grateful and thankful for the candor and compassion and just the heart that everybody brings to this, and just it really means a lot. And I'm very grateful that I was able to be a part of this.
After this class, I'm really feeling re-engaged and inspired and motivated. So I just want to thank you all. You know, I'm feeling that way both because I think of all that we've learned and the tools that I've gained, and just because, you know, seeing the passion that I've seen from all of our speakers and from you all. It's been so great to see, you know, the different issues that you all are working on and that you care about. It's been just really, really inspirational.
You know, being part of a special group of, you know, over 1,500, you know, that means a lot to be around, and this seminar being able to uphold that. And hopefully, you know, there's another 1,500 people that go through this, and we're looking back and you know, praising those people.
Two middle fingers for the haters. Life's only getting greater. Straight up from nothing we go. Higher than the highest skyscraper. No little league we major. The proof is in the pain.
You know,
we put the good in the good in the good life.
good life.
We put the good in the good in the good life.
I said the good
We put
life.
the bad in the past. Now we alright.
We alright.
Damn right, from the bottom we rise so high. Now we cutting skylights. We building an empire. We owe it all to each other. Just look at us right now. Destined, we so good right now. Legend, here's to you and I. Raise them to the sky. We put the good in the good in the good life. We put the good in the good in the good life. We put the bad in the past. Now we alright.
You know,
We put the good in the good in the good life.
good
We put
life.
the good in the good in the good
I said the
life.
good life.
Bad in the past. Now we alright.
We alright. The good life.
So I want to introduce Hilina Ajakaiye. She is the Executive Vice President of Meet Boston, which was formerly the Boston Convention Center and Visitors Bureau. Sometimes I get Convention Center and Visitors mixed up, but you know, Hilina is historic. Like I mentioned, she is also incredibly resilient, as she'll probably share in her remarks. And you know, one of the big things is she's inclusive. You know, what she brings to the table at her job is that everybody has value and everybody has importance. And you know, from the CEO who's trying to come in, and the big conventions that are trying to come in to Boston and to Massachusetts to hold their conventions, to the folks who are in the service industry, you know, doing the work that makes the city run, or makes these conventions run, whether it's security, you know, the drivers, the wait staff, or anybody, every one of them. You know, Hilina brings that importance to each and every one of them, and she makes sure that diversity and inclusion and equity are at the forefront, and at the sort of at the heart of her being, and at the heart of what the work that she does. And so, yeah, I think she fits in perfectly with this class, and I'm excited and honored that, you know, she took time out of her super busy schedule, because she meets everybody everywhere every time. And so, you know, for her to make time for us, I'm just so honored. And so, you know, thank you for joining us, Hilina, and you know, welcome to our winter 2023 Commonwealth Seminar graduation.
Wow. Well, first and foremost, everyone, congratulations. What an amazing accomplishment. And I have to tell you, I'm sitting here and I always feel a bit of, an out of body experience when I hear friends and folks that I respect. And Leverett is a friend and someone that I really, really respect in our city of Boston and doing work in the Commonwealth. So I showed up today, not because I have anything more to offer than what you've already offered to one another and to your success, but because a friend asked. And I think that it's important to share our vulnerability and, as Leverett said, resilience, yes. And I've, kind of gotten away from sexifying resilience, but also knowing that we are on a daily basis asked to be resilient as we are personally and professionally. So I want to start off by saying, yes, congratulations, and thanking Leverett, who has been a partner of the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau, the GBCBB, which I just learned how to say the GBCBB, but about 8 weeks ago actually now, we just rebranded our name to say Meet Boston, which is fitting. I think that right now in our city, in our Commonwealth, we are meeting a very, very different time. And when I read a little bit about what Commonwealth Seminars has done, and I was looking through all of the alumni and all of the work and the history, I was humbled. And I started telling my kids and my husband what I was doing today at 6 p.m. And they were like, wow, that sounds like an amazing responsibility. Did you write something down? And I will tell you honestly, I just did a lot of introspective thinking because I'm really just a girl and a human, just like a lot of you. As Leverett said, my day job is Executive Vice President of the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau, but now Meet Boston, and I'm the first Black woman to serve in this capacity in this 40-year-old organization. Our organization is the official destination marketing organization, as Leverett mentioned, charged with economic development and making sure that we market and tell the story of the city of Boston to both residents, local travelers, domestic travelers, international travelers, so that they come to the city of Boston, see the beauty, the tapestry, the intelligence, the intellect, the culture, the arts of all of us. And that infuses our economy. That's economic development. So we host over 2.5 million international visitors annually pre-pandemic. And domestically, we're superseding numbers pre-pandemic. I landed in the city of Boston in 1987, to be exact, October 7th. My parents decided that 3 daughters should come to Boston from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, not knowing a word of English, because we wanted to seek opportunity. We wanted to learn and make sure that we got education here in Boston and in the United States. I remember not knowing a word of English. I used to run up West End Avenue over in Cambridge, and I used to go to the Martin Luther King Elementary School. That's where I learned English. My father, at the time when he came to the United States, he came in the 70s, and he was a political asylum, and he came here without us. And we were separated until 1987. So he left when we were 1, 2, and 3, and then he got to see us again when I was 12, and then my sisters. So when we got here, he became an instantaneous single father, living in the city of Boston and having to kind of redo law school all over again. He was an attorney back home. And you'll hear a lot of this. If most of you have ever boarded a cab in the city of Boston, you'll see the diversity of all of the drivers, and you'll ask them, where are you from? Try it if you haven't, because I do it all the time, because my father's, started off as a cab driver. Where are you from? And what did you do before you came to the United States? And you'll be surprised. You'll hear, I was a doctor, I was an attorney, I was an advocate, a politician. But coming to the United States and learning the English language, assimilating culturally, does not give anyone a second chance. My father was blessed to be able to find his way to Roxbury Community College while he drove cabs all day. Then he would go to school at night, and then he would work overnight as a security guard at the Hyatt in Cambridge that's still there. And he worked hard enough to bring his 3 daughters and do law school all over. He found his way to Northeastern University from Roxbury Community College. And then from there, Mass School of Law to earn his JD and open a law firm as one of the first Ethiopians to have a law firm in the city of Boston on Mass Avenue. So I'm a product of that. So when you talk about resilience and being able to show up every day and what I consider a time of joy here in the city of Boston, but we all know that there's times of difficulty. So when there's organizations like Commonwealth Seminars that is teaching us the power of us, the power of our intellect, the power of education, the power of being able to understand how to utilize the resources that our city and our government and our municipalities have. For me, it's emotional because one of the first things I wanted to do when I came to the United States was get my citizenship and be able to vote. I knew that advocacy was at the kind of foundation of making change happen, policy advocacy, and making sure that we're in the room. A lot of people say be at the table if you're not invited. I always tell people build your own damn table in the room and get there. And so, at 45 years old, and in my role, and I'll tell you that most days I am resilient, but other days I show up and I'm confused. I feel like I don't belong. Or sometimes, I'm laughing and crying at the same time. And I love that. I feel like that's important. So when I'm speaking to, and when I have an opportunity to speak to the future of us, this is a collective us. All of us are different backgrounds, different ages, and different nationalities, but the city of Boston and the Commonwealth belongs to us. This is a majority minority city. And for the most part, in the crevices of the city, it's a majority minority. So to be able to take our difference of being an immigrant or of a different background and learn how to utilize advocacy for change and to make America our home, it empowers me. I will tell you that there are a couple of things that keep me up at night. I told you that I ran up and down Western Avenue as a 12-year-old girl who didn't have a mother here in Ethiopia. So I'm very, very acutely aware of the fact that women and girls need more support on a daily basis in terms of equity and in terms of access, in terms of just taking their knowledge and being able to apply it and make meaningful change. I'm happy, I said, to be in the city of Boston right now because we are led by some phenomenal women. I'm seeing some here. And then most importantly, as I'm wildly crazy about women, we couldn't do the work that we do without the Leverets of the world, the Clives, and everyone that I see here, the Nates and the Brandons. And so, I am a mom of two boys, two Black boys who are half Ethiopian, half Nigerian. And when I'm wildly advocating for women, I do it in a way that I don't demasculate men. We need allyship, and we need to make sure that we empower men to be our allies. So I always tell them, if you're in the room, be an ally, be an advocate, and be at the table. And when you see something that's happening that's great, say, great job. But when you see something that's happening that's not so great, say something, and so that we can collectively fix it. I'll pause there to say this, and I didn't prepare something because I think it's important to show up as you are. Today was a good day. Today, I had the opportunity to speak to a lot of our city constituents and talk about how we can better put tourism on the front of many constituents, specifically locally, so that we all take advantage of the economic development of the third largest industry in the city of Boston. So a lot of the work that I've been doing today, and we're still in the office, is really taking a look at our partnerships with many, many city constituents and making sure that the partnership is really economic development for all of us in 23 neighborhoods, and not just in the kind of, obvious places that we all get to kind of know about, whether it's Faneuil Hall or the Red Sox or all of that. But today I got to talk to Live Like a Local, Nia Grace, Solio. I got to talk to some of the Main Streets directors who are going to join me over some lunch, the chief of economic development. So really understanding. And when I was thinking about learning how to use the city, I never in my wildest dream thought I would be 45 executive vice president at Meet Boston and being able to pick up the phone and call Levert and ask him for advocacy. Or now I'll be calling all of you because I've just made a whole bunch of friends. There's 28 people on here, or our mayor, who's a phenomenal, mayor of color, or our governor or our AG. So, I just say that we have such a powerful collective, and Commonwealth Seminar is really poised to continue to have a pipeline that I want to get plugged into, not just personally and professionally. And I know that on behalf of myself and my team here at Meet Boston, we are so blessed to have Levert on our team. He is on our board, but has served for over 18 years on our multicultural committee. So I'm humbled. I'm speechless in terms of, I said I didn't prepare anything, but I come here to tell you that I'm a resource in terms of anything that you need, both personally and professionally. And I always say, I never make friends I don't keep in touch with. So I expect all of you to stay in touch and let me know how we can help in terms of employment, advocacy, and support around the city of Boston and really the Commonwealth. And I'll pause there, Leopard, for any questions or anything you have for me.
Well, if that was you not prepared, what are you like when you are fully prepared? That was, I think I see the fire emoji in the chat. That was from Najee. That was incredible. Thank you so much, Hilina. I mean, thank you.
Thank you.
You've touched upon so many of the themes that we touched upon and stress here at the seminar. You touched upon telling your story. You touched upon the diversity. You touched upon keeping in touch and the relationships. And thank you so much for all of that. You echoed so many stories of my own family and families that are families of the folks who are on here. And you're so relatable. So thank you for this, and thank you for being here and being so generous with your stories. Are you free to answer any questions or anything like that for a few minutes? I know you're very busy. You're still in the office.
No. I'd be happy to. So I'm here, and if anyone has any questions, I just chatted my contacts in the chat. I'll tell you, I've had the same phone number since 1995. So you're all my friends now. So you better be calling me. But yes, I have time for some questions.
Okay. Anybody with questions, just either raise your hand, put them in the chat, or just shout them out. I will. Oh, I see Clive. Clive has his hand up, and so far just Clive. Okay, go ahead, Clive.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you so much, Hilina, right? Sorry.
Hilina, yeah.
All right, thank you. Yeah. My name is Clive. I'm a student at Harvard College. Thank you so much for speaking. Yeah, I just have a question. So I moved to Massachusetts with my family when I started college in 2021. So I'm still getting used to like how Boston as a culture exists and how it's developed and things like that. So I'd love if you could talk about how you have seen Boston change since you first arrived and your family first arrived, and what are some of the characteristics that you see have developed and what really shows Boston's strength. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's a great question, Clive. And, it's been over 34 years since I've been on Boston soil, both as an adolescent and then going through my undergrad studies at, UMass, at UMD. And then I did my MBA at Northeastern. And through those kind of educational journeys, I've socially been able to get involved in some volunteerism. And I've seen, I think, I always say, UMB, I've always said that, you see the change by going through some adversities. And, for me, I remember before I knew the English language, I struggled to really see what the beauty of being an immigrant in Boston was. And I felt like there was a lot of red tape. But now I think as an adult and as I'm really still keeping in touch with my mentors and now old enough to mentor, I realized that we've changed in a way that there's this forum. There's these pipelines and communication and ways of communicating that I think empowers young people, empowers individuals to really be able to, create a living that they can call their own. I talked about today the history of Boston and how there's such a tapestry of history, and it's both positive and negative. But what I've seen in my kind of progress in Boston is that, I think that there was a sense of kind of not shame, but there was a pause, as a Black woman. But I feel like today, as a Black woman in the city of Boston, I feel like I'm powerful, I'm embraced. I see myself in leadership throughout the city of Boston and the Commonwealth. And I see that change being both cultural, I think, and corporate seats. And so I think that's the movement. I've seen it happen right before my eyes. And I mentioned earlier, I still walk into rooms where I'm the only, but I know that I'm not far from the one. And there's a lot of ones and there's a lot of you. So I feel protected, I feel more confident, and I feel like we're going in the right direction of finding joy and making sure that we live the fullest life, both professionally and personally.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Great question, Clive. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments or bonding with Hilina, because she's definitely somebody you can bond with. I mean, we had one lunch and I felt like I had known her forever. And so it is just a testament to her being able to make everybody feel comfortable and included and welcome. So anybody want to either say a few words or just ask another question to Hilina before we let her go back to work?
Yeah, I see Jessica's got her hand up.
Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry. Thank you for spotting that. Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for sharing your story. Definitely understand creating spaces at tables, especially as a woman of color in any field. I would love for you to talk a little bit more of that, of how you've created your space in regards to your field, or in spaces maybe that you weren't welcomed, how you've gotten past that. I'm a woman of color, and I often am either advocating for other women of color or at spaces where they're talking about women of color, but there's no women of color. So it's hard for me as an advocate to just share my story as an individual and not it reflect every person who's in my space or place or looks like me. So like how have you as a leader in your space been individualizing leadership and equality in regards to understanding that everybody has different voices and different perspectives? I don't know if that's like a question for you, but
That's wonderful. That's Jessica. I understood exactly what you said. And I think about making a comment, but also answering the question of like, how do you personally handle it? So I will tell you that, when I got to meet Boston, and I can say this because I'm in the seat at my desk now, I honestly did not know that I was going to be the only Black woman here. And the first in my role. It's shocking, but what I realized is that I used to be scared of even saying that. I used to be scared of, as a younger, if I could tell my younger self, my why is deeply rooted. My success belongs to so many more people that are sitting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, that have sacrificed. So when I'm going through adversity and challenges of being the only one, or really even dealing with, kind of unkind situations or microaggressions, you call it what it is. And I always have to kind of recenter. I really, really encourage all of us to think about why are you there? I will say that, we are in a time where you can say, you can say what you're feeling strategically without, making someone feel horrible. But it's the right time for us to say, I know that this is a time of, I think, where at the kind of post of COVID, and our mayor, Dan Walsh, declared racism, a social pandemic, and then you went through George Floyd and a whole lot of stuff. And, this is the time. I feel there's a momentum here in the city of Boston. So if you're an Asian, a Latino, a Black woman, and you're in a room and something is not feeling good, if it's appropriate, talk about it. If you feel like you can't talk about it, get up and leave. Recenter your why. But I often, in moments, definitely address it. And if I can't address it, because obviously we're still trying to mitigate the way that we communicate, the way that we show up. I don't show up, physically in a certain way because I get judged differently, or I don't say things in a certain way. But I'm very strategic, and I think that's emotional IQ. Ability to control my emotions and be able to really say, you know what, that didn't feel very good. You were in the room and it didn't feel good to me. I want to know if you picked up on it. Use it as a teaching moment. I was sitting with one of my friends today. She happened to be an executive who was a white female doing some DEI work. So we were comparing notes. It's a difficult time for people to feel like they could make true change and not look like you because you're going through the problem and they're trying to, fix it. And they just don't understand. And sometimes it's a misunderstanding. So Jessica, I would say, center in your why. I'm sure that there's reasons why you get up every day. I get up every day and my feet hit the ground. And I think about my mother who's still in Ethiopia, and my brothers and my family, and they're my why. I think about my kids and the fact that my success belongs to so many more people than the person who's going to rattle me in any room, at any table, or take a chair away, because I will build a chair and get back in that room and keep going. So that's what I encourage everyone to do.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you, Hilina. Thank you for that. And great question, Jessica. Thank you for once again asking the great questions. Let's see. Any other questions, comments, observations before we let Hilina go?
Well, thank you, everyone. I think
Okay.
you have to graduate. I think there's other things
That's
on your
right.
agenda. So I'm completely humbled and grateful for this opportunity. Please stay in touch. Like I said, Commonwealth Seminar is doing some incredible things, and this cohort is one of many, as I know, but do reach out, whether it's about employment, whether it's about mentorship, whether it's about internships. I would love to stay connected. And as you know, Leverett leads a lot of our initiatives right alongside of me here at Meet Boston, and he's a valuable partner. So stay in touch. Congratulations. And I can't wait to see you out in our city of Boston and Commonwealth making change happen in a positive way. Thank you.